Right, quite enough silliness for one morning. Goodness gracious, we won't have that, will we? Right, welcome to the show. You know the drill, a large capital Q followed by a colon, then your question in full, no abbreviations please, and suffix the whole thing with a question mark. That way Her Majesty Pym, Queen of Pirates, Queen of Ducks, Queen of Pimbatia, Mother of Puppies the Unpoked, and all the other stuff, will be able to find them more easily, because she doesn't really get any help from Ted at all, does she?
Nope.
No.
Never.
I am Field Marshal Professor Lord BWTK. All of those are legal titles, in fact, whether you like it or not. Those of you that don't like me, I don't really care. Yes, including the Lord one. I am actually legally a Lord under the British system of honours by way of what's called customary or courtesy title, as a laird in Aberdeenshire in Scotland. So there you go. I'm not making shit up. I really am. Okay, Pim, questions and things.
We don't have any questions yet. You can tell people how to phrase the questions.
I think I did.
Did you?
Yes.
Capital Q and stuff.
Yes, I did. I did
just
that bit.
didn't listen.
Yes, well, there's a bit of that goes around here, doesn't it? Who listens to me? I'm just the Field Marshal. You're the Queen. You don't have to listen to anybody.
No, I was busy with my tea that is too hot to drink.
Yes. Anyway, who's in the house? Let's just see. Jonathan's here. Good to see you, Jonathan. Matthew's here. Garuda Legends is here. Dave's here.
Morning all. Top of the morning, Your Majesties. Yes.
Yeah, very good.
Here's a question. Would you rather sleep with, for one night, Hench Herbivore or Mick the Vegan?
I wouldn't sleep with either of those for fear of catching some revolting disease. Yes.
What are you drinking, Bart?
This is coffee with goat's milk, raw goat's milk, milked yesterday morning. Yeah, probably yesterday mornings. And what are you drinking there, Your Majesty Pim, Queen of Pirates and such?
I'm drinking chai tea.
Chai tea, excellent.
Goodo.
Goodo.
All made from animals.
Yes, my coffee is made from animals too.
Hello, Professor. How long does it take for my gut to heal from an antibiotic cycle on carnivore?
How long is a piece of string? Your mileage will vary. I would suggest to you several things. Number one, watch a video on my channel. It's quite short. It's called 5 Health Hacks You Need to Know. I'm doing that on the thumbnail so that you can see that there are in fact 5, and also so you can see the palm of my hand, thus designating me as a trustworthy individual. Trust me, I'm the science. I'm safe and effective me. Don't question the science. And also, you might consider a so-called experimental peptide called BPC157, Bravo Polly Charlie, that is, BPC157, which is experimental, not for human use, and it's so very dangerous that you can buy it from Amazon, eBay, etc. if you want to. Good. Oh, I should say, while I'm thinking about things to make announcements on, I have never had so many requests to do a response to a video by someone than I have received this week for can I please do a response to Dr. Rob Saivez on his latest 2 little video offerings. I have recorded responses to both of those videos. Both responses are 90 minutes in length. That's how wrong Rob was on both occasions. They will premiere on the channel this week. So stick around the channel. Make sure you click the bell thing and check in on a daily basis. I'm hoping for tomorrow and the next day.
Christ.
That's what I'm hoping for in terms of when those videos will be posted. Okay, Rob Saivez. Brace yourself, sunshine. 180 minutes of wrongness pointed out in my indomitable fashion. Yes.
Right, now we have some questions.
Excellent. Let's have them.
Hi, Bart. How do I know I'm eating too much protein? I can eat a lot of meat.
Well, there are several things you can look at. You can look at your creatine BUN ratio. You can look at your fasting blood glucose. If you've been doing it for a long time, you can look at your A1Cs. However, you need to read your A1Cs in light of the fact that you may or may not be a carnivore, in which case they may be a lot less useful. You could have your EGFR looked at. These are all things that could point towards. However, if you really want a more comprehensive look at things in your individual case, you probably want to consult with me, which you can do by typing into your URL bit.ly/Bart-KAY. And that will take you to a little Google Docs page where you can click on a link to set yourself up for consultancies with yours truly, the Field Marshal. You're welcome. Good.
Good.
Yes. What's next?
I eat lots of meat. Is it normal that I get very tired after I eat every day? I get comatose. Just wondering if that happens.
The good old protein coma. Yes, that's normal. Yep. Obviously, if it's significantly a problem, take the same advice I just gave the last person, which is to consult with me, and we'll see if we can get to the bottom of what your problems are. Lie on the couch. Tell Ted all about it. In fact, show us using Ted where the nasty man touched you or something. I don't know. What's next?
What's next? Jonathan says, I left a super chat. I got charged, but it isn't appearing. It said no question.
Rude.
That is rude.
Very rude. Thank you for the super chat, Jonathan. We appreciate it. Well, Ted does, because he gets to spend all the money. He's the treasurer, who's Ted. I think we didn't think that through, did we?
No.
Giving Ted that sort of...
Right, shall I read this? Or
go on then.
Do you make your own kefir from your raw goat milk?
I think you should answer that.
Yes, we do.
Very good answer.
Hello, Bart and Pim. Could you please do a video on Nick Norwich's nonsense video on the scientific truth behind the sugar diet? I was not expecting this, which is truly disturbing and dangerous.
Okay, thank you. I will. Nick Norwich, by the way, is a very young man, very early in his research career, without any apparent experience or wisdom to appropriately conduct science nor communicate about what he's been doing, as evidenced very clearly by the absolute shambles of the Keto CTA study. I'm not impressed with Nick at all. I think Nick really ought to pull his head in and concentrate on his career, learning some of the skills. If nothing else, he's absolutely in no position whatever to be commenting on science. I mean, anyone that publishes a study as flawed, foibled, and hopeless as that ridiculous piece of shit study, the Keto CTA study, really ought to remain silent for all time from that point forward. You're done, Nick. You're finished. All right. Thank you, Lucia. Lucia looks very attractive in that photo, doesn't she?
I suppose. I'm more into guys, to be fair. Yeah. Which fat is the best to cook with? Beef tallow, raw butter, or cold-pressed olive oil?
Not the last one. Either of the first two.
Probably beef tallow.
Yes. Yes, because it's more stable, isn't it?
Well,
higher
you have
ranges.
proteins and stuff in butter that will burn quite easily, so it will taste kind of rubbish. But if you make it into ghee and just have the butter fat, that's fine.
But you still need to watch the temperature, don't you? Because it kind of tends to smoke. The smoke point's lower. Am I right on that?
I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
It probably depends on if, what, not all beef tallow is equal either.
Right.
So
I'm just saying that because of the usual chain links, carbon chain links. All right, what's next?
Okay.
Yep.
Hello, Professor.
Hello.
I've been seeing a lot of Dr. Nicol Antonio and his theory that if we eat a lot of animal meat, we need to take bicarbonate also, or we will erode our bones. Any thoughts?
Many, many thoughts indeed, which you will find already published on my fine YouTube channel. Just do a search on James or acid base or pH, and you'll find them. There's about 7 or 8 videos where I've responded to that absolute ridiculous buffoon child on a number of occasions. Basically, despite a very, very impressive publication list, James de Nicol Antonio does not have the first notion of science, its disciplines, its faults, its foibles, the discipline of the epistemology that we have to use to generate knowledge. not even a first grip on first principles of physics and or chemistry. Basically, he's spouting off erroneous, ridiculous, nonsensical dogma, and he does not have the sophistication to even see that what he's doing is spouting off dogma and not actually stating demonstrable scientific facts based on first principles, because he's doing the exact opposite. He's a buffoon. He has a very, very serious ego problem, and I've dealt with it. So go and check my channel. It's there. If you don't like the C word, though, nonetheless, even though I use the C word often in my videos regarding that person, the reason is because a spade is a spade. The information there is good. So brace yourself, but you need to watch those videos if you want my opinions on it. Plus, I've also invited Jesse Chappis to invite me back on his channel again to deal with it in a professional, non-sweary way again, because he had James on his channel and he sat there, of course, as he did because he's the host, and let James spout these ridiculous, fundamentally fallacious, nonsensical garbage concepts for over an hour and a half without challenging any of it. But also, James is a coward because he will not face me to debate this issue face to face because he knows how that'll go. That's why. He makes excuses like, oh, Bart K will swear at me, which I said, James, I won't if you like. We'll just have a discussion about it. And I'll point to the flaws and foibles of your position. No, you still won't do it. So that's pretty clear, isn't it? Right. Anyway, pretty long answer, but that's where it is with that one.
What might cause leg cramps in an otherwise healthy carnivore?
The most common cause is a magnesium issue, which you can deal with by spraying magnesium solution from a bottle directly to the skin of your legs at nighttime. Usually. If that doesn't solve it, consult with me, bit.ly/Bart-KAY.
A not so credible influencer in the carnivore space said vegans still subsist on animal fat, their own. Short term, feel good until they become skeletons. Then the deficiencies come in. Is that correct?
Conditionally. Conditionally correct, yeah.
Conditionally.
Go on, tell us who you think is not credible, Joseph. Well, we need a laugh. Who's not credible? Almost everybody in the space, actually, by the way, but that's for another day.
Do you use any specific lights after sunset, e.g. red light, amber light?
No, I use lenses, blue blocking lenses, which I know doesn't block the skin receptors as well, but I think, well, let's just win one battle at once. Lighting changes are quite expensive. We might get to that one day. We're actually off to have some red light therapy today after this. It's going to be interesting. I've never done that before.
Not full body.
I hope you're firing that thing up, Lance. It's going to be awesome. Get it ready. Make sure it's at warp speed before we get there. We don't want any of this weak red light. We want the real McCoy.
So a guy with a 3 in his name is not so credible carnivore.
Oh, right. That guy. Well, we know he's not so credible. Some of the things he says just by pure luck are correct from time to time. What do they say about a broken clock? It's right twice a day.
Yeah. Dr. James Nicolantonio says that a carnivore diet leads to acidosis, calcium loss, and bone loss, and that we should supplement with bicarbonate. Are you going to contact him for a face-to-face?
Were you not listening, Daniel, before? He will not face me for a face-to-face. He is too afraid to do it. He lacks the gear. With regard to those claims, no, carnivore diet does not lead to acidosis. That is false, demonstrably absolutely false from first principles of physics and chemistry. It does not lead to calcium loss long-term over multiple decadal periods, as clearly evidenced anecdotally. Neither does it lead to significant or meaningful bone loss over a long period of time either. And supplementing with bicarbonate is ridiculous because bicarbonate is a dependent variable in aqueous biological solutions. Dependent. You cannot independently moderate the concentration of bicarbonate by adding bicarbonate. That will not work as per first principles of physics. I know it. I've told him. He won't listen. He won't debate it with me because he knows everything already and because he's a coward without any testicular fortitude. So there it is. Good.
Thoughts about psilocybin?
Not too many. I haven't experimented with it myself ever, but I'm heard it can be tremendously effective in microdosing regimens for all sorts of things. Have you tried it?
Yes. But not enough to have fun.
Right. So
I was with someone who took more than that and was very fucking annoying.
Yes.
Okay. You're a bit overexposed, Bart. I think you've been eating too many photons.
And indeed, there are many, many calories worth of photons hitting my skin at the moment from a light in my studio. Yes, I'm a bit bright. I get that.
I need this one a little bit further down so I can see anything.
Yes.
How many carbs do you usually get from raw milk?
As many as are in the amount of raw milk that we consume. I don't really know how much carbs is in goat milk.
I don't know. Between 3 and 5 per 100 milliliters, probably.
There you go.
So depending on how much you drink.
No idea.
And then you make it into kefir and you have a lot less.
Yes. Mostly the raw goat's milk that I consume is in the form of kefir, which has much less, as Pim just said. I have a little bit of it in its natural form in my coffee. And I have about 2 cups of coffee a day. With, yay much milk in the bottom. Well, it starts in the bottom, but then you put the coffee and water in and it kind of tends to homogenize.
Yeah, they needed to know that. And it's also no longer raw.
Indeed, because it's been pasteurized by the heat of the hot water that I poured in over it. Correct.
How soon after we eat our OMAD should we lay down as far as digestion goes? Does it matter?
No, you don't need to lie down to digest food. Who told you that?
I don't know. That would be funny. People laying all over the streets because people are eating all the time.
Good.
Are you surprised people are falling off the sugar train? I didn't see that one coming.
No. Toot toot, the sugar train. Toot toot. Anyone stupid enough to follow that ridiculous trend deserves what they get.
Has anyone posted a video? I did the sugar diet and I failed.
Not what I've seen.
So how do we know they're falling off then?
I don't know, but I'm not surprised if they are.
Jonathan, I was part of an Instagram group to help promote the carnivore diet. The leader, hunter-gatherer mindset, excluded me and got me to leave because I'm autistic and too needy. Shall I fuck him up?
Yeah, go on.
Do it.
Yeah, go on, do it.
Do it.
If there's one thing we can't stand around here, it's bigotry. Yeah.
I have been low carb since 2019 and I have stenosis of my lower limbs. Should I be concerned?
Stenosis is never a good thing. Never a good thing. It sounds like you probably should consult with me and we can see if we can't get to the bottom of that. And maybe there's some intervention that we can suggest to you that may or may not be of utility or amelioration for you.
Bloody hell, it's cold this morning. I agree.
Yeah, -7 here, Joff. -7.
I froze my feet off milking the goats.
Why were you milking the goat with your feet? Is that some new kink that we have going on here in Pimbatia?
Not really. So what he meant to say was, how long should we stay up after we eat and not lay down, or does it matter?
Not really, no. Digestion happens when it happens. However, lying down and resting at least once a day for a period of time is indicated.
Yes.
Yeah, good.
Well, you can sleep sitting if you like.
Well, yes, you could. You could, if you're that kind of...
I'm not sure that's as good, but...
Yes, if you're that kind of strange person.
Whatever. The main proponent of the sugar diet, not Cole or Mark, was advocating for carnivore with me behind the scenes 3 months ago. Should I out him too? He sells a book about it.
Yes, absolutely.
Out him, out him.
Out him, out him, out him. Do it.
Fuck him up, fuck him up.
Yes, that too.
Okay. Someone's shouting here. Is glyphosate and lectins a problem in grain-fed or finished beef? Thank you, Pim and Bart, for all the amazing content.
I've not seen any evidence that it is, personally.
Okay.
Or not, either way. What I'm saying is I've seen no evidence that I could use to inform on that question.
What are your thoughts on deli meats, Professor?
Case by case.
I think they taste nice.
Some of them do. We went to a sort of almost deli-style butcher this week, a couple of days ago, for the very first time. It's a business that's been there for a while, but we didn't know. And we went there. It's run by a German family, and there was all sorts of, German things by way of meats and stuff.
German small goods.
German small goods, yes. It's called Heck, actually, and it's in Richmond, the Tasman district of New Zealand, very near Nelson. If anyone wants to live around there or go there, it's great. Very nice gentleman, was very accommodating, gave us the opportunity to sample a lot of things for free and go, das ist gut, and stuff. And we ended up trundling away with lots of snackables and things. It was awesome.
Yes.
Some of them are good. Some of them are not good. The guy at Heck was explaining to us that they don't use any additives, preservatives, any of that nonsense at all. It's, all good stuff.
All real shit.
All the real shit, yes.
Is there benefit in quitting all pasteurized dairy, including pasteurized butter?
Case by case. Depends on how you do on that stuff.
Oh, we actually have a super chat now.
Super chat. We love a super chat.
Why can't I see the super chat down here?
Hey, because it doesn't come up.
Why not?
I don't know. Maybe it comes. I don't know.
No, it should be above this one.
Yes.
That's very odd.
You've been eating the cut your arm off diet.
Thank you, Greg.
Thanks, Greg.
I am strictly carnivore for breakfast, steak and eggs, but sometimes have a small cinnamon muffin in the afternoon. How much actual damage would that cause my body long term?
Your mileage will vary. It depends on a lot of things, individual genes, the environment in which you've placed those genes up to this point, and at this point. That's not a question I can answer. I wouldn't suggest that it's a good idea, personally. However, you do you. Thanks for the money.
Well, the problem with that is that it messes with your ability to get fat adapted and use fat for energy. So you might be a lot more tired and energy inefficient.
Yes. Excellent. We have another super chat from the fully laden swallow.
Yeah, the European one.
Yes.
Thanks for suggesting nattokinase and bromelain for my kidney condition. Up from 28 to 35. Also connected with Dr. Corey's team and the confirmed cause as the job.
Yes, the thing.
Started healing protocol. Looking forward to being symptom-free. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Yay.
Awesome.
We like good news.
We do. Good news is good news. And no news is not necessarily good news. No news is just no news. So thank you very much, fully laden swallow. But do tell us, what's your favorite color?
Okay. Hi, Professor. Regarding the STEM Enhanced product, is there any trade-offs associated with expediting the release of HSCS? Like you prematurely exhaust all the cell lines?
No, absolutely not. The mechanism by which these cells are released involves a mitotic division of a master cell which is locked to the bone marrow superstructure, producing a daughter cell, and it is that which is released. This product increases the rate at which that occurs. It has no effect whatsoever on the number of permanently bone marrow locked master adult stem cells. You will die with the same number you were born with, unless, of course, you irradiate yourself with a huge dose of radiation at some point. Okay? Good question. Thank you.
Right.
Yes.
I have a glycogen disorder and would like to know more about how a meat-only diet will support this, as I don't want to go down the path of the mainstream solution of using sugar cornstarch for fuel.
Well, that sounds like a consultancy issue because you're a special population. But in short, there is no reason that gluconeogenesis will not provide you with all the glucose that is required if you eat only a carnivore diet. Gluconeogenesis is still a thing. It still exists. You'll still find it in any textbook you like, and it still works rather well. All we need to do is encourage that to do its maximum thing, really, and there's no need for you to be intaking any exogenous sugar whatsoever once we get you properly adapted and stuff and get things on track. But you should consult with me. You should not just go off on your own and, for want of a better term, you should not just go off and fuck around and find out, okay? bit.ly/Bart-KAY.
I think we have another super chat.
We love super chats. They're great.
Yay!
They keep the lights on.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, joining an exercise program, which of these should I choose to lose fat, gain muscle? Total resistance exercise, strength conditioning, or kettlebells?
Well, it's a combination of different modes of exercise that is probably best conduced to your goals. Lose fat and gain muscle. Well, in that case, you should do hypertrophy training mostly, which would be high intensity resistance training, which would be weights and or elastic bands and or that kind of thing, and or other methodologies which are a bit more advanced, like big negatives or big pyramid sets and all that sort of stuff. You probably should link yourself up with a competent personal trainer if you're not sure about that kind of stuff. But you need to be a little bit careful about who's competent and who's not. Whoa, I'm just having a blood pressure issue. Woo. Yeah.
No.
Wow, I'm having a few of those lately. I'm having very low blood pressure, which is interesting. So I'm just going, woo.
So Jonathan says, resistance training as it's the least injury potential or highest muscle gain potential, and you won't look like a gimp doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just had to get that off there because that was funny. I saw it on Charles' channel. People are coming out reporting issues finally. So,
okay, yeah, and that'll be about the people falling off the sugar wagon. Yeah.
Yeah. The sugar train, mind you. All right.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just one of those momentarily, oh, there's not enough oxygen getting to my brain issues.
Stay upright.
I have, what is it, Marvin, the paranoid android? I have an immense mind that needs a lot of oxygen.
Oh, Puppy stole Snooze's bed. Now she's standing. Doesn't know what to do. Poor dog. Do green shell mussels contain the thiaminase enzyme anti-nutrient? Does cooking the mussels destroy the enzyme?
I have absolutely no idea.
Did you give up on stealing beds?
No idea at all.
No, you had hope. See?
Oh, poor Fluffy.
Not really.
It's Professor Fluffy. Are you here to help?
Say hi to the kids.
Hello, kids. Oh. Hon var den sötaste hund.
Sometimes.
Except when she's not.
Is hanging from a bar good for lumbar disc herniation? Do leg raises and deadlifts cause lower back problems even when performed with proper form?
As to the first, potentially. As to the second, potentially.
Potentially.
Yes.
Good.
Good.
Okay.
Hey.
Had that one. Do the macronutrients in the blood flow into the extracellular fluid interstitial before cells can uptake them? And does the Randall cycle play a role in the interstitial fluid tank saturation?
Okay, the Randall cycle, or the effects of the thing that we parsimoniously refer to as the Randall cycle, is dependent entirely on a number of things, all of which are intracellular. However, the translocation of things from one fluid pool to another fluid pool to another fluid pool involves them passing through various cell membranes, which are meaning that a lot of those things have to pass through interstitial spaces to get there. So it's one of those yes, no, and maybe things. Excuse me.
Indeed. What are the potential problems when people don't eat enough fat on the carnivore diet?
Rabbit starvation is the term that's used quite often. Often if a person isn't eating enough fat, they are often eating too much protein, which can lead to an excess glucose situation, which can lead to all sorts of problems. It can lead to a bunch of psychological issues as well. What else? There's a lot there.
Yeah.
That's a whole lecture all by itself on all the various potential problems of not having enough fat. At the end of the day, fat is the absolute main source of oxidizable substrate to use for the production of ATP in the metabolic process of human beings. And as such, the design is that that's where we get most of that from. And if you're deficient in that, then basically everything is compromised.
Hormones, nerves, probably brain fog, all sorts of things.
Yeah.
Thoughts on whole milk Greek yogurt cheese?
In what regard?
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah. Please ask a question that I can answer. Whole milk Greek yogurt cheese, fine, if you do well on those things.
Why are you so handsome?
I can't help myself. It's just one of those things. Others will disagree with you, but that's fine. It's, I mean, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, isn't it? So they say.
Right.
If nothing else, I probably don't look too bad for a bloke in his mid-50s, yeah.
Is there any benefit for a 17-year-old to go carnivore?
Absolutely. It's your species-appropriate, species-specific diet, and it's the thing that's most likely conduced to your best prospects of best health in every aspect ongoingly for the long game. And I remember, I can think back to when I was 17, last century, and I thought I was indestructible, and that aging would not apply to me, and that, you know, there was nothing that could get to me, and it would be as it would be forever. I can promise you that I was wrong in that regard.
Duckman went carnivore at age 15.
Yes, and by now, Rick, of course, your bones have dissolved and you're just a puddle on the floor, aren't you?
Yes. Maybe he ate all the bicarbonate.
Maybe he did, all the bicarbonate.
Maybe. Just recently discovered you, Bart, and man, you are a legend. I've never laughed so much while listening to rigorous health topics and debates. Pure gold.
You're very welcome. I'm here to help. I'm also here to educate while entertaining. It's called edutainment, I think they call it. I needed a hook, really, because there are so many people out there who purport to be talking about the science, and most of them are wrong, and I could just get on and say everyone's wrong.
Because I am the science.
Because I'm the science, and I'm safe and effective me. Trust me, and don't question the science. But that didn't work very well immediately, so I thought I'd try something different. So I started this angry, sweary professor act where it was just, you know, using the most foul language I could possibly muster. Then I started doing double barrel insults like cockwomble and fuck monkey and ass hat and stuff like that. And it kind of grabbed, and it was a hook that worked for a cult audience. And then I built an audience to a certain size, and then it stops growing because actually then people say, why don't you just be professional? And I'm like, well, for fuck's sake, the reason is because that didn't work. So now I've got another evolutionary process to go through to work out which of my various different styles, angry, sweary bloke, dripping with sarcasm bloke, collar and tie bloke, or some combination of those things, which is going to be most effective ongoingly. So it's kind of a fuck around and find out thing. So it might be a bit malleable on the channel for a bit. Stick around, see what happens. If nothing else, it could be disaster porn, whatever.
Yeah. Thank you for the super chat. No message.
Inga kommentarer.
No.
Tack så mycket. Nästa.
How is an interstitial fluid reading of glucose different from reading it from blood glucose?
Well, because the interstitial fluid is the fluid taken from outside of the vasculature. The blood glucose is the level of glucose in the blood plasma, which is inside the vasculature. There is a membrane in between those two pools, and as such, they are separated and can have differential concentrations of the same thing across that membrane. And often they do.
I know you say OMAD is optimal to kick you out of ketosis and get an insulin bump, but can we achieve that in 2MAD, even though obviously it would be half the amount of food in one sitting?
Your mileage will vary. It depends. What we have found anecdotally with the number of people that I've dealt with over the years is that it seems to be around about 2 grams of protein per kilogram of non-fat mass. That is about the benchmark figure. So if you're cutting that in half, rather than getting half kicked out of ketosis. Twice you might not be getting kicked out at all, which is a bad thing, because what that will lead to is an inability to keep your thyroid function viable, and also there may well be issues with thyroid and stuff like that. Not because of the ketogenesis at all. In fact, it's because of the insulin effect that you need. Okay.
I asked the extracellular fluid question before in the context of someone who claims that using a CGM and eating carbs with fats, the reading on the CGM shows lower glucose spike.
Yes, it probably would. Yeah. Correct.
Do you have any information about the potential benefit of using a vibration plate, standing on it, or using it for a surface to do exercise on?
It's not something I've looked at in any great detail personally, but I am aware that there are a number of research articles available on that topic. So I would go and read those, perhaps. Just have to move that radiator back a bit. Oh, hot as fuck.
Needs to be on my feet.
Oops, I just turned it off. Never mind, it can be off because it's quite warm in here. That's probably half my issue.
My feet are still frozen.
That's probably half the issue, because I've probably got vasodilation, and that's what's causing the blood pressure to drop off at this point, despite the coffee. Yeah.
Do you agree with Uncle Harry that vegans coming to meat eating tend to gravitate towards raw meat since their digestion is fucked and more a raw gets to the colon, like fiber to heal the rest?
Perhaps. I'm sure if Harry's saying something, he's saying it on the basis of having looked into it a bit, at least.
Should I consume carbs to regulate the glucagon hormone production eating only meat proteins? Dr. Cyrus claims, 2-day-old video, named Why Humans Are Not Carnivore.
I have responded to Rob Cyrus in his latest 2 videos, as I stated at the beginning of this show. You may have missed it. Both my response videos are 90 minutes in length. That is how wrong Rob Cyrus was in both of his videos. The answer is no, you should not do that. Rob Cyrus is absolutely, completely wrong. He's also an imbecile. I'm sorry. That's just the facts. I have made it very, very clear in my 2 responses that Rob Cyrus ought to shut his channel down and stop making public videos about nutrition immediately. Dangerous, contraindicated disinformation from Rob Cyrus. Sorry, just the facts.
Hit the like button.
Yep, good.
Do it. Do it now.
The rest of you get to the chopper.
Actually, hit the like button, whatever.
Hit it, yeah.
I'm obviously not going to eat them anymore, but what would cause someone's hip to hurt after they eat eggs?
It could be an inflammatory response based on an immune activation. That's the most likely. It could be a number of other things too, Jean. We love you, by the way, Jean. Nothing you can do about it. Still.
One of my favorite videos you've done was the debate with Vegan Gains. What did you think when he kept bragging about being able to bench press heavy weights? Ha!
I thought, wow, I knew you were dumb as a box of rocks, Richard. I knew you were as stupid and arrogant and ignorant as it's possible to be, but you've surpassed it, is what I thought. Absolutely, your answer to, do you have any credibility whatsoever to discuss complex scientific principles like statistical inference? His answer was, yes, I can bench press 415 pounds. Oh, good.
I think he hears his own questions.
Yes.
Maybe he took too much.
Perhaps he provides his own audio.
Yeah. Wear a collar and tie while being super sarcastic and swear your ass off. Keep every fucker happy then.
Well, some fuckers. I have found, Dave, that there's no way to keep every fucker happy.
No.
You can please some of the people some of the time.
Yes.
Love you too, Dave, by the way. Nothing you can do about it.
I would like to do a 3-day fast, but I keep getting headache after 30 hours. Perhaps I'm lacking something.
I found the same, and I think it was coffee withdrawal that was my issue, and also a bit of hypovolemia and hypertension as a result of that hypovolemia. And that was largely down to me not preparing correctly, according to instructions from Her Majesty Pym, Queen of Pirates, etc. perhaps you could consult with me and I'll tell you what's what, at least according to Pim. Or you could consult with Pim if you want. Or both of us. We could both sit here and say, well, this is what we found.
Blah, 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 blah.
Finished.
Not finished, blah, 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 blah.
bit.ly/Bart-KAY.
Also, it's less likely that you will get a headache if you are doing dry fasting.
Yeah. Also, those of you that do like the foul language, follow this guy on Twitter. He's got his own, it used to be called Twitter, now it's X. He's got his own profile over there. It's at the bottom of the screen right now, at HRH_Ted. He says lots of short words to people. He'll see everybody next Tuesday over there.
Ricky. Good. Hello, are chromium and fluorine among essential trace minerals? If yes, what roles do they play?
Chromium, yes. Fluorine, not as convinced. And fluoride, at least, is definitely a nerve toxin.
This is a Google question.
It is.
You can go and Google that and get a much better answer than we can provide.
Chromium is involved in glucose homeostasis, among other things. It has multiple roles. Most micronutrients do. Fluorine, not something I've looked into in great detail, at least not recently. What I find with trace minerals and stuff is that it's very, very rare, actually, for a person to genuinely have a deficiency of any of those things. If you eat like the muscle, meat, and associated fat of ruminant animals for 80% of your intakes, everything seems to be covered. And most things tend to get better, except Fluffy's behavior. Isn't it, Fluffy? She's still a complete knob hole, aren't you?
Poor Puppy.
Poor Puffy, nothing. She's never had it so good.
Can sprinting interfere with weightlifting progress?
Yes, it can, depending on what training you're undertaking.
I'm 2 months on carnivore, went straight into it without easing in. I later learned it's best to ease in. Do you think I should just continue? Any advice would be great. Thanks.
Yes, that fork in the road of doing a transition is back there. That ship has sailed. You're now at this point, and at this point you soldier on. And if there are significant issues and problems that raise or rear their ugly heads now or at any stage in the future, then you should consult with me, bit.ly/Bart-KAY. And I'll do my best to help you. Okay. Good.
So the reading on the CGM will show a lower spike, but inside the blood vessels, the glucose damage is the same. So it's just a mirage.
That statement might be a bit too strong, but what I'm saying is there is absolutely that potentiality. Yes.
What's your opinion on sprinting?
Good stuff.
Good stuff.
In the right amount, at the right intensity, on the right schedule, like any kind of exercise.
Do you do consults on previous thyroid issues? I've been carnivore since September and have since been able to stop TRT, ditch my blood pressure meds, get rid of my CPAP, and ditching levothyroxine is next.
Awesome. Yes, I do, and I can. Same address, bit.ly/BART-KAY. Absolutely. Those of you that do avail yourselves of that service, you need to understand it's a subscription service. It's a repeating monthly fee for several hours of contact time with me, which you hold as long as you want to and take advantage of as long as you want to. And then when you've got what you need from me and feel like you need no more, you need to cancel. Okay?
Okay.
All right. I also do one-on-one consultancies if necessary, but I charge more for those, as of course I do.
Jean, love you guys too. Thank you for the super chat.
Awesome.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Now I had to find my way back to...
Clickety-click, clickety-click, click.
This is way too far back.
Oh. Fluffy doesn't care.
There it is. With all the science being constantly spread and forced on us, how does someone not properly trained figure out what we should and shouldn't consent to medical intervention-wise?
Well, at the end of the day, what I would do personally if I was less trained in the particularities, the peculiarities, the scientific everythings and this and that and the other thing, I would have a look at the track record of those who are claiming authority in the field. Has the allopathic medicinal community solved all the world's health problems, or even close? No? Okay, we're done. So if I break my arm and need it set, I'm going to go to the A&E, absolutely. if my appendix explodes, which is unlikely, but if that happens, I'm going to go and present to A&E and get that surgically dealt with, absolutely. But I am not for one moment going to take long-term so-called preventative, so-called proactive health, so-called advice from the allopathic and or scientific fraternities underpinning that allopathic community, because they don't know dick about fuck in that regard. Clearly. If they did, we'd be sorted, wouldn't we? How's that? Listen to me. I'm the science. I'm safe and effective. Don't question the science.
Okay. If I continue on carnivore, will my seasonal allergies ever go away, or is that something that I will always have? I currently take a 24-hour antihistamine that I hate taking.
It is possible that there will be at least an amelioration of your issues, if not a complete fixation of your issues, shall we say. But no one can say. Your mileage will vary. How long's a piece of string? Everyone's a little bit different in that regard.
Yes. I weaned off my allergy pills that I've been taking for 20 years daily.
Yeah.
Because I would get a rash pretty much anytime I went off them.
Mm-hmm.
And now I only take them if something, grass season, for example. I'm still not immune to that.
And of course, because Pim's allergic to grass, what we've done is we've bought a 40-plus acre property that's covered in the stuff. That was good thinking, wasn't it? Very smart, hell man.
Well, I just rinse my nose and I take antihistamines and I'm fine. Ish.
What do you say?
For those who choose to go keto rather than carnivore, do you think there's any significant difference between the amount of carbohydrates you consume, 20 grams per day versus 50 grams per day?
I'm unable to delineate personally between 20 and 50 in terms of affect as a result.
That's so individual.
It is, absolutely. Again, your mileage will vary.
I love you too. Having open heart surgery this Friday, very large benign tumor in heart left atrium.
Ooh.
Would taking keto pro exogenous ketones help before and or after carnivore last 2 years? Thanks.
I would suggest that absolutely not will that help. No, there's no reason why it would. There are some things I could suggest to you in the recovery period, including 5 health hacks. Numbering 5, the number of the counting shall be 5, and to 5 shalt thou count. To 4 shalt thou not count, neither shall thou count to 6. 5 is the number, and you'll find all of those health hacks listed in detail on a very short video on my channel called 5 Health Hacks You Need to Know. That's what I would do, personally. Sorry to hear of your problems, by the way.
Yes, and I'm not laughing at that.
No, you're laughing at the next comment that you're reading.
No, not really.
Come and see Uncle Daddy.
Yeah.
Hey.
I was just laughing. I'll find it again.
You should let Mummy
this
concentrate.
My daughter-in-laws are from South Africa, so this is just an example of the stupidity that comes from that country.
Okie dokie, if you say so.
I guess there's a lot of stupidity there then.
Yes.
I used to have a client from South Africa, and I've heard of some of the stupidity.
It's not just, in terms of science though, it's not just the stupidity. It's the arrogance. The stunning fucking arrogance with which he presents himself. And the Dunning-Kruger dripping from every pore. This is a man making authoritative, incorrect statements completely outside of his field of expertise. Absolutely fucking ridiculous. Anyway, I don't want to preempt my 2 90-minute videos too much, so let's carry on. They will be on the channel this week. Stick around for that. You sit still, for God's sake, eh?
She can't ever sit still with you.
Slick it in there.
Listen now. I like all of your character appearances. Each one has a role depending on how knowledgeable or stupid the video or interview is.
I'm glad that you're one of those people that's able to see that I'm putting on different characterizations depending on what's in front of me. Most people just don't get it in many ways.
Getting indigestion when I eat too much fat, is that a lack of bile production?
It could be. It could be also a number of other things. There is, like anything, a limit to how much fat you should eat. There's a limit to how much protein you should eat. There's a limit to how much carbohydrate you should eat. The limits for those things are different for those things, and they're also very different between individuals a bit. Ooh.
Guys, put a question in front of your questions, like a capital Q,
like
in
that.
front of your questions like that, because there's a lot of questions today that don't have it, and I might have missed some.
Yeah, that's probably because we've got new people here, which is awesome. We love new people. We've got nearly 200 watching.
Yes.
I wonder how many views we're going to get for Saive's videos.
So if you do have the capital Q in front of it, it will definitely be read. Otherwise, it's a gamble.
Yes.
Was researching lithium's stem cell proliferating effects and found that prolonged high doses reduce CD34 plus adult stem cells. Do you think extended high dose use of SEU could have a similar effect?
No, I don't. Not at all. There's no evidence to suggest that that is so. No. Zero. Zippity-doo-dah.
Is it normal to poop once a week on carnivore?
No, it isn't. Are you new? Have you just transitioned without doing a transition? Have you suddenly gone carnivore? How much are you? All sorts of questions. You should probably consult with me. bit.ly/Bart-KAY. Once a day or once every other day, any less than that, there could well be an issue, depending. Once a week, not enough. You need to poo more than that, I think.
Okay. Thoughts on Goat Boy, aka Wig Boy, aka Sverige, promoting eating fructose, saying it's harmless.
Okay, so as you now started wearing a wig, I didn't know that. Well, if Sverige suggests that promoting that eating fructose is harmless, well, that's all you need to know about him, because eating fructose is not harmless. Exactly in the same way that the Earth is not flat, which he also says, and neither is staring directly at the sun a good idea, which he says it is. One of the other things that he's been known to say is that drinking his girlfriend's menses is cool.
Yummy.
He's a very disturbed little boy, and a bit stabby, allegedly. He was excluded from high school for being a bit stabby. Not someone that you should listen to. This is a buffoon who has a long history of being the most extreme whatever he is. He used to be a vegan, and he was an extreme one of those too. Extremism is not the answer. While he may be somewhat intelligent, he's an absolute fucking imbecile at the same time.
There should be 1 million people watching you, apparently.
Yes, I wish there were 1 million people watching.
And? Can someone give me Ted's X, please?
Yes, HRH_TED, TED.
Like that, on the screen
like
now.
On the screen, yeah.
Bottom of the screen.
Yeah, people are observant, aren't they? Yes,
very.
Good stuff. Spectre WSA. That's what it is.
Okay. I looked at the science for most jabs and have yet to see a proper control, or am I completely wrong about what's proper? Does anyone in here know?
There are no controlled placebo trials on the jab that have been conducted. None at all. You are correct. There aren't any.
I switched to Celtic salt and my calf cramps went away immediately.
Awesome. That's great.
Yes. I hated Bart at first, but now I think he's okay.
Good, good.
Fucking hell, you managed to convert someone.
I know.
Amazing.
Incredible.
Is there a way to determine what my fat consumption threshold is?
Yes. It's individual. There's a bit of a process involved. There's a bit of experimentation involved. It's a consultancy issue. bit.ly/Bart-KAY still.
Just put it up there in case it's hard to read
at the bottom.
The banner.
Yes, at HRH_TED. Now listen, everybody, if you're going to go and subscribe to Ted on X, you need to know several things. One, I can't do a damn thing with him. I've told him he should tone it down. He won't. His language is absolutely unbelievable, but what he says is spot on, absolutely correct in every regard. He's not me. I'm not him. He's his own bear. Okay? If you refer to him on the platform as me, he will be very offended and he will block you. Not okay. Respect his identity. Bigots. Cool.
I'm not allowed to drink, apparently. Dr. Berry recommends mineral drops on carnivore. Can you comment on that?
Not really. Ken Berry recommends what Ken Berry recommends.
We had 2 super chats. Thanks for educating and entertaining us.
You're very welcome.
And
New Zealand dollars,
yes.
Pacific pesos. We like them.
I just watched your brilliant takedown on Marcus the Vegan. Are you able to elaborate on your comments about the real reasons for his youthful appearance?
Yes, I am able to. Surgery, filters, lighting. He has a history of being a production, video production technician. He knows how to do all that stuff, and he's absolutely had interventional work. I would suggest it's a wig that he's wearing as well, and he's possibly got reasonable genetics.
Sit still. Could cereal help with psoriasis?
Yes, it could, but we are not allowed to say it will.
Very good. Not sure if you heard of the other mischievous things about Goat Wig Boy is accused of doing, like attempting to unalive his own son and the mother of his son. I think those might be the worse than the knife.
Yes, allegedly. I've heard those things. Yep. It's clear to me that the boy has some issues. I'm not a psychological pathologist, so I'm not going to pathologize the boy other than to say, well, look, based on allegedly things that he's done, I would suggest that there are some pretty serious issues there, in my non-psychologically trained opinion. And having seen a few of his videos, I would suggest that there's enough evidence in those to suggest to me, anyway, that there are some psychological problems. Look, anyone stupid enough to believe the earth is flat, for God's sake, that's not a psychological problem. That's just a stupidity issue, though, mind, isn't it? Yeah. Cool. What's next?
What's next is... But is this true? The Maasai have genetic adaptations for cholesterol metabolism that allow them to process their high-fat diet differently than other populations.
Not aware of them. It may well be. I mean, any disparate population of humans tends to have its own genetic drift, like the Inuit have one. So I would suggest the Maasai do as well. I know for certain that what they do have is when the Maasai tend to develop atherosclerosis, instead of the lesions growing into the lumen of the vessels and blockading them, they somehow have an ability for those lesions to grow into the intima and media space, thus leaving the lumen of the vessel open, allowing blood flow to continue. So that's interesting. Good.
Okay. What is a good grounding product for night time?
Well, we use a grounded bed sheet, which is a fitted bed sheet that goes over the mattress underneath our standard fitted bed sheet, and the electrical connection is made via body moisture.
It's a bed sheet.
A bed sheet.
Yeah.
Yes. Good.
I use non-stick pans to cook with because I'm cheap. Does different pan material matter to you? Are some toxic to cook with, or is that just super rare for something to happen?
Yeah, I'd stay away from Teflon and such. We use cast iron, which is not non-stick.
Yes. They are usually quite expensive, but I got these actually fairly cheap. So you can find them sometimes.
Yes.
They're not massive, but they're enough for now.
Yes. Very good.
I'm having a tough time reaching the amount of fat I should eat daily for muscle growth. Can you give us tips on that?
Fat for muscle growth, you'll find actually that muscles are made from protein, and the exact rate of muscle growth per day in most individuals, even hypertrophy athletes, is so close to zero. This makes no odds. Ergo, there's no real need for you to eat particularly more protein than a non-hypertrophy athlete. So you should go for around about 2 grams of protein per kilo of non-fat mass, plus or minus about 10%. And you should eat fat to satiety. It's your satiety signaling, which is very, very accurate. Once you've been away from carbohydrate consumption for a few months, so that your normal satiety signaling can return to normal function. You'll find that the consumption of carbohydrates messes that up, especially fructose.
I like my granite stone pans, the ones on TV. They work okay.
Alrighty.
I've never tried them, but
No,
that would be interesting.
Good.
Follow up to pooping. I am eating 400 grams of beef, 6 eggs every day, 94 kilos, 5 months on carnivore. Sometimes I can't even pop for more than a week, and I need some medication for that.
Did you go carnivore without a transition? Probably. Sounds like it. It sounds like you've got dysbiosis, in which case 5 health hacks plus BPC 157. But if you want to get to the bottom of it and talk to me about your individual situation, consult bit.ly/bar-KAY. Still.
My question would be, so 5 months, did you have this problem before carnivore, or did you start on carnivore? And if it's an ongoing problem that you had from before, then I would take a different approach. Like maybe supplement with some extra magnesium to help it move along quicker.
Cool.
Your thoughts on the GAPS diet, Dr. Bart? Thank you so much.
It can be useful under various circumstances for certain people. It's not something I use in my toolbox. I use 5 health hacks, plus a few other bits and bobs around those 5, depending on the individual case, as adjunct therapeutic measures.
All right. Does bacteria cause disease, or is it an association?
It's quite clear that certain bacteria can absolutely be pathogenic, yes. There's no question of that in my mind. Anyone that suggests that that's not possible is as ignorant as it's possible to be. Of course they do. Example, bubonic plague. Okay, that's definitely caused by a bacterium.
So this was with the 400 grams of beef and 6 eggs every day? Yep, without.
Right, well, there's probably your issue. So 5 health hacks plus BPC 157 for 5 health hacks ongoingly for the rest of your life, and the BPC 157, 500 micrograms per day in tablet form for a month, then let it rest for a month, and then if you need to repeat it, do so. Take extra magnesium if you want to get motility improving. Epsom salts will do it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Or a salt flush. Yeah.
Is a kind of a follow-up question from a different person.
Okie-dokie.
I was a knucklehead and didn't transition into carnivore, and now I'm suffering the same issues Mitch has. Any tips on how to get past this?
Yes, same advice for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
We just had that.
Yes, we did. The answer.
So let's try the next one.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on colonoscopies? Are they needed to find out certain issues such as bowel cancer, or are there other ways to find out if you have colon cancer?
There are various tests that can suggest the presence or absence of such issues. The colonoscopy is the one that they tend to go with so that they can visually identify any tumors in the colon. If there is a good reason to suspect that bowel cancer is present, then I would suggest a colonoscopy is a good idea to identify that it is the case. I wouldn't suggest that a colonoscopy is a good idea just as a routine test, because they do not come without risk. How's that?
Mm-hmm. Is there an explanation on why it's rare to find carnivore keto athletes?
Yes, there is. A, because it's not the gold standard so-called advice. It's out with the consensus being wrong, fallacious, in error. And because keto and carnivore athletes tend to perform better than their carved up counterparts. And as such, they're not screaming from the rooftops about it. Because if you have an advantage in your sport, you're not going to tell everybody else about it, are you? I have been in the past and am currently as well involved with professional work with a number of professional sporting and physically intense occupational groups, including, but not limited to, the New Zealand All Blacks, the NRL Referees Association, at one time Squash New Zealand, at another time the Royal Australian Defence Force and the Royal New Zealand Army. And I can tell you that there are some interesting results there, but that's all I can tell you because much of it is either protected by client confidentiality or indeed by being classified in the military sense. All right?
Yes, so smash that like button, folks.
Oh, yes.
Choose.
Oh, yes.
Super chat, thank you.
Thank you.
Preferred 10 to 12 exercises for hypertrophy.
Most of them are big compounds, but not all of them because it's difficult to do all big compounds. But I would usually say, starting from the bottom up, standing calf raise, leg curls, squats, deadlift, hyperextension, something for the abs, whatever it is, dips, chins or pull-ups, upright row, Schwarzenegger press. The best of my usual go-tos, among others. Top it up, change it around. Yep.
Should I take BPC 157 under supervision?
Well, whose supervision? It's quite safe, it seems, to take BPC 157 at the rate I was talking about before, i.e. 500 micrograms in tablet form once a day for a month at a time. There's no evidence that that's harmful or not. That's why it's precautionary. Let's just do it for a month and let it wash out. It's labeled as not for human use, experimental only, but actually it's a perfectly natural peptide that your stomach makes itself just in very small amounts. All you're doing is giving it a hand by giving it a bit more. And it's kind of touted as the miracle peptide for enteric function, soft tissue injuries, and a few other bits and bobs as well.
Okie dokes. If you already addressed this in a video, please direct me to it. But if not, what are your thoughts on methylene blue? Thank you.
I haven't made a video on it, but my thoughts are I tried it for a while because the lovely Dr. Sarah Pugh provided me with some to try to see what was what. What I found and what I noticed was that my urine went green, and that's about all. I didn't find that there was any benefit that I was aware of, and as such, I thought, well, if it's a benefit I'm not even aware of, then it's probably not necessarily something I want to continue doing.
So here's one on the same topic. Is methylene blue worth fooling with? Don't
know. What I would suggest is that the interesting thing about methylene blue is that it is a pigment that sits in terms of its energy level between two of our existing pigments in our mitochondrial electron transport chain. As such, it bridges the gap between those two, to which my response is, well, there's a gap between those two because that's what's evolved for some reason that we may or may not understand. Nonetheless, I would defer to Dr. Sarah Pugh, who knows quite a bit about this. She uses it, but not daily, not as a, this is something that she's doing all the time. She uses it when there is a good reason for her to use it. She's given examples like flying. Jesus, one of those dogs just guff.
Are they there? Oh. So it must have been you.
It wasn't me.
I can't smell anything on
Can
this
you not?
side. No.
No. Maybe it was Ted. Did you fart, Ted?
Maybe you should close your mouth.
Rude.
Gotcha. Where was I? Super chat.
Yeah.
I love my fitted grounding bedsheet.
Good. Good.
Okay. I've had swollen lymph nodes directly under my jaw for a few weeks with no sore throat, and I'm not sick that I know of. What else might it be? Could it be allergies?
It depends on a lot of things. Have you thought about mononucleosis as a possibility? That's just one that's just straight off the top of my head. I'm not saying that's what it is at all. I'm not trying to diagnose you. I'm just saying, have you thought about that one? It could be that. If it continues, I would probably present that to a medical professional. The one who smelt it dealt it. Well, I can promise you I didn't. Maybe I'm imagining it, because have you smelt anything?
Still no.
Or maybe I'm imagining it.
I don't know what's wrong with your nose.
It just smelled like farty smells. Okay.
Can you smell it now?
It's abating.
Maybe you have another dead mouse on that side.
Could be.
Why do you think I got serious gut inflammation from pasteurized whole milk just recently when in the past I had no problem with it?
Who knows? It may well be that you suddenly started to have an immune reaction that you weren't having before. These can come on randomly at any given time. It might be that, or it might not be that. It might just be that it was associated with that and it was completely something else, in fact. Who's to say?
Sometimes it could be that you are inflamed because of something else, and then you add milk on top of that or whatever, and it just makes it worse because you're a bit sensitive to it.
Yeah.
Long time listener, first time caller, expat Kiwi, now living across the ditch. Keto for a while now, living the dream.
Oh, good. Welcome.
Excellent.
Yes. Thanks for commenting.
Question.
Yes.
Is a carb are needed to make the best, greatest, high quality muscle gains? There was a video on Instagram suggesting that.
There are a lot of people saying that. It is perfectly possible to build a perfectly nice, perfectly good, perfectly functional physique with significant muscle mass on an entirely carnivorous diet. Still. Yeah.
Shout out. Thanks for doing video to tackling the sugar diet. Please do more videos on that.
I'm sure there'll be more coming. There's at least one already in the can that needs editing.
What about people who eat carbohydrate-fed beef because they have no other choice?
It's fine. There's no real issue with that.
When talking to Max German, you said transition over 30 days, removing 50% of diet every week was okay. Usually you say 6 to 8 weeks. Has your position changed? What is the absolute minimum transition?
There is no absolute minimum. I don't remember saying 30 days. Are you sure that's what I said? Doesn't sound like the sort of thing that I would say, because I've never had that figure in my mind. I've always said 6 to 8 weeks. And that's what I believe is probably optimal. How's that?
When you say transition to carnivore, are you just saying to lower total grams of carbs gradually every week, or eliminate certain foods like sweets and soda, then lower carbs gradually?
I'm saying remove all plant materials and carbohydrates that have been refined from plant materials over 6 to 8 weeks, and as close to ramp style as you possibly can. My God, we have His Majesty Harry Louse, King of Tasmania, in the house. How are you, Harry? Good to see you, mate.
He says, morning, Barton PM. It's 8 to 13 degrees and wet today. Here it's -7.
Yeah, we've got -7. Yeah.
In Hobart. How the weather at your end of the pond, plus how's the farm going?
Chasing our tails, 2 steps forward, 1 steps back, doing the last lager waltz. It's high-level problem solving. We're dealing with one thing, and then we're dealing with another thing, and then, it's fingers in the dike stuff. Literally, actually, in some cases, like, the pond and all of that. Yes, many projects on the go, and we could really do with some help here in Pimbatia. If there is anybody that wants to come and stay with us in Pimbatia for a bit, We'll feed you and house you, hose you down once a day, perhaps, if you're lucky. And you can do some work here, and we'll call that quits. How's that? And we'll tell the tax department, because we're required to, and we'll pay tax on not paying you any money, because that's how New Zealand tax law works. Does that make sense, doesn't it? Anyways, if you want to come and stay with us, you're welcome. Well, so long as you can get past an interview with Tim and myself and Ted. Ted's a bit picky, isn't he?
All right.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on carnivore trainers telling people eating carbs makes us better carnivores?
They are imbeciles. They do not know what they're talking about, and they should shut the fuck up.
Shut up.
Shut up. Do not make any more fucking videos. Don't make me come there. I will bring Ted and his bucket with the soapy frogs and the wetsuit with the bottoms cut out.
Good.
Yes.
Best foods to heal the gut.
Carnivore plus BPC 157 plus 5 health hacks. Well, carnivore is one of them already, but there you go.
What would you say to a family member to convince them that carnivore is the appropriate diet?
One of the things that I've had to come to the conclusion of is that in most cases, it's impossible to convince a family member of anything. Horses and water. I would just signpost them to my channel or Dr. Anthony Chafee's channel if the swearing thing is too much of a problem for you. He's about to hit 500,000 subs, by the way, this Chafee.
Good-o.
Yeah. Awesome. Well done, Anthony Chafee.
I just did my blood work.
Yep.
28 months carnivore, trig 60, HDL 65, LDL 120, A1C 5.2, fasting blood glucose 95. I'm concerned that my LDL is too low. Any ideas, Dr. K?
No, it's under the control of your genes. Your genes know what they're doing. Absolutely.
Is grounding improved with increased contact surface area, or is one good point contact sufficient?
One good point is sufficient, but you need one good point. So if you have a larger contact area, the likelihood of one good point is higher, if that kind of makes sense. Test yourself with a multimeter once you've been grounded with whatever kit you're using for 5 minutes or so.
Can you explain what eating and growth in hypertrophy looks like while exercising? Glycogen is resynthesized in the liver simultaneously with the movement.
Well, hypertrophy is the enlargement of muscle fibers, which can be underpinned by several differential causes. For example, the retention of higher amounts of fluid under the influence of things like creatine monohydrate. It could be the addition of extra myofilaments and switching from light to heavy chain myosin, which is a protein-based issue. It could be the addition of more muscle glycogen rather than liver glycogen. What eating and growth hypertrophy looks like, I'm not sure what that means, Gabriel. If you mean how should you eat, 100% carnivore, ideally. And while exercising, glycogen is resynthesized in the liver. Not so much while you're exercising, too much.
Maybe he's wondering, like, if you should eat a big bolus of protein or eating several times per day.
Oh, look, I'm not. Yeah,
I don't know.
Okay, I get it. I'm not a fan of pre and post nutrition being an important thing, or a particularly thing that's going to make much difference.
We finished?
Yeah.
Got any tips for quitting smoking? Also, do you know any good health coaches who can help with that?
Okay, well, it might shock you to know I used to smoke myself as a younger man when I was indestructible and nothing was going to get to me. I quit smoking 2 or 3 times over the years before I finally quit permanently. One of the things that I used at one time, which was very effective, was the following. Get hold of some elemental sulfur, pure elemental sulfur. Put that in some capsules of the standard sort of, those little capsules, those 2-part capsules, and start with 1, build up to 2, build up to 3, build up to 4, whatever a day. What happens is the sulfur builds up in your system, and the sulfur binds to the receptor that recognizes nicotine and blocks it. The effect being that no matter how much you smoke, you will not get the effect of the smoking on those nicotine receptors. So basically, you can smoke your head off, but you are going cold turkey because that receptor is blocked. So you'll smoke yourself sick, but you won't actually get the hit off it. And so you just go, fuck this. And you chuck the fucking smokes away.
Pick it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Who's on the phone? Let's see who's on the phone. We have a caller. We have a caller. No, we don't actually have a caller. We have a beep notification.
Can you listen then?
Yep, go on.
What about the argument that the freshly killed meat of the animals had plenty of carbs in the form of muscle glycogen?
It does. And so does cooked meat have an amount of glycogen. And it seems that actually it doesn't really matter because gluconeogenesis is still a thing.
What was the fat to protein ratio when you were priming and lost weight?
Oh, God, who knows? I was just eating steak. I wasn't measuring.
And fish with butter.
Yes, I had fish with butter. Yes, I did. You're right.
And some Greek yogurt.
And some eggs. I had some eggs. Yep.
You ended up never responding to Siwas Randall cycle with video. Why? Just curious.
That's false. I did respond to Siwas' Randall cycle. You clearly just didn't find it. I absolutely did.
All right. Last question.
Yay.
When searing meat, should we worry about the advanced glycation end products produced?
Only if you are blackening the meat and or causing a significant amount of smoke to come off it because the heat is too high, or if you're doing it for too long or doing that too often. Otherwise, me.
We got another one, just because I said last one.
Right, yeah.
Could you expand on the fructose disrupts purine breakdown with regards to gout? If not here, perhaps in a video?
I didn't say it disrupts purine breakdown. I never said that. I said fructose causes purine breakdown, thus leading to a buildup of all sorts of things, including uric acid, which can lead, if other conditions are correct, to a gout-like situation. Okay.
All right. That was it.
Good. In that case, we'll sing the song because we have to. It's the rules. And having sung the song, you can all get on with your Saturday/Sunday, depending where you are in the world. Anyway, the song goes a little bit like this. Steak and eggs and steak. That's what you should have for your breakfast. Delicious. Eggs and steak and eggs. Just making sure you heard. I think they got it, Ted. See you next week.